Hi there. I'm going to take you on a little tour of some J.S. Bach Experience Ancient History. If you can see here, this is a Music Connection magazine, and if you can see that, that's April of 1997. That's 11 years ago. And this was the first review that anybody wrote of our band. As you can see, that's us on stage there with our white wigs. You can see down the corner, J.S. Bach Experience, playing at Cheka Bar and Grill. It's a little bar and grill someplace in West Hollywood. I'm going to read a little bit of this for you. Material. This is basically a tribute band doing covers that are over 200 years old. The J.S. Bach Experience gives new meaning to the term classic rock, exclusively playing compositions by the famous Johann Sebastian. Taking just a few liberties with power chords here and there, they were generally faithful to the original arrangements. This is electric Bach with a rock kick. With electric guitars and extended drum rig, they managed to capture the polyphony of Bach's music. They even took requests, playing the old favorite Toccata and Fugue in D minor. Overall, their selections would probably satisfy patrons and paupers alike. Musicianship. Anyone who can make a guitar sound like a harpsichord without twisting their fingers into knots is an accomplished musician. No doubt about it, this group can play, though they did rely on sheet music set on stands. It would have been a little more impressive had they played from memory, no easy task with these arrangements. Nevertheless, their technique was sound and their attitude playful. Performance, decked out with powdered white wigs on their heads. It was hard to look at anything else. However, the group had so much fun playing that the audience could feel it. With a miniature bust of their idol placed at center stage, they took their obligations seriously, but not too much. During one technical breakdown, Metz told a joke about Bach in a bar, which kept the crowd from getting restless. At the end of their performance, the music apparently overtook them. Keeney and Metz, that's me, I'm Adam Keeney. Keeney and Metz rubbed their guitars against the mic stand, producing phenomenal feedback, while Burns and Morday continued playing louder and louder. The finale was Who-like, as the guitarists raised their instruments to the sky and proceeded to kick over their music stands. Fun times. Summary. It took over 100 years before Bach was recognized as a great composer, and his refusal to venture into more popular forms of music kept him almost unknown until a full century after his death. It's nice to know there are still those who appreciate the old gent, and the J.S. Bach Experience does him justice. That was a nice review. Then there was another one where this wasn't so much a review. It was just it was a sort of like an interview I did over the phone. That was like a little promotion for a show that we were going to do at a club in Santa Monica called 14 Below. And you can see it's at LA Weekly. LA Weekly! And I don't know where the date is. I think this is 1998, I think. So still ancient history, folks. There we go. You can see that. It says can I get that? Can I get that? No? It says the J.S. Bach Experience. There we go. The J.S. Bach Experience at 14 Below. I remember we had this guy who was doing promotions for us, and I felt like, when we were paying him money, and I felt like he just wasn't doing very much work for us. And we asked him if we could get into LA Weekly, if we could get like an article written about us. And he said, no, that'd be impossible. You need to be an established band. And then I just said, fuck it, and I wrote them a letter. I just wrote a letter to one of the calendar editors at LA Weekly, and within a few days I got a phone call, and they said, hey, let's do a little interview over the phone. So let me read some of this to you. The J.S. Bach Experience at 14 Below. Ever heard of this wigged out quartet? The Fab Four is an ensemble of 20-somethings who can be seen playing their unique mix of rock and Bach in casual attire and 17th century wigs. According to Adam Keeney on electric guitar, quote, my first memory of music was listening to Switched on Bach when I was 4 or 5 and running around the house in utter joy, unquote. It was just a question of time and destiny before Keeney hooked up with Kevin Metz at CalArts, a fellow Bachophile who had thought about shaking, rattling, and rolling JS when he too was just a lad. The two began performing Bach's two-part inventions on electric guitar, and when they discovered bass player Darren Burns and percussionist Theo Morday, the J.S. Bach experience was born. Keeney assures us that they're, quote, always working on new crap. I can say in all honesty that fugues are coming out of our asses, unquote. The group remains faithful to the Bach urtext, sticking to the original music as closely as possible, and only adding minor touches like power chords and Latin, jazz, rock ballad, African, and heavy metal rhythms to speed it up a little. Keeney thinks Bach, the master of writing transcriptions of transcriptions, would approve. One of our pieces, one of our pieces is the Symphonia from Cantata number 29, which was originally for violin solo. Then Bach transcribed it for lute and finally for organ, so I think what we're doing would be fine with him, unquote. That was by Mary Beth Crane. I think she's the editor of the classical music entries in the calendar section, I believe. Anyhow, I hope that was entertaining. That was entertaining for me. I went back to my parents' house this weekend and sort of dug these out of the closet in some old boxes. It was really a thrill to see them.